Well, of course, Zimbabwe's economy continues to stumble despite new leadership. The government is now set to retrench 3,000 workers from its youth ministry in an attempt to cut the cost of running its bloated civil service. Should we expect results from the government plans to mitigate the current situation? How is the country's economy perceived by international investors? Let's get some answers. And now we're joined by the HFG Advisory Managing Director, Zimbabawe, who joins us via Skype from London. Simba, thanks a lot for joining us this evening. I mean, Zimbabwe has been in the news of late, especially when it came to issues around fuel shortage. Then we had an issue around the doctors being paid. Now we see that the youth ministry is cutting down some 3,000 workers. What is happening at this present moment?
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, it's an open secret that Zimbabwe's been going through some issues as far as its economy is concerned. We've got gross fiscal imbalances that need to be addressed. And it's been also well known and well documented that part of the problem was a high pivoting towards recurring expenditure, of which the civil service makes up a significant part of it. So this is part of the right sizing of the civil service so that we can adjust the trajectory that we were going at in terms of our fiscal imbalances. And I think this is one of the steps to address some of the issues that are very well known by everyone, but execution has been quite slow, and I think that's been the main concern.
Well, we're talking about execution being quite slow there, Simba. One may ask, why is it that we're finding that execution is slow? I mean, we've seen, numerous times that when it comes to policy and when it comes to knowing what the answers are in an idealistic manner, there seems to be a solution. But when it comes to implementing those solutions, it's a different ballgame altogether.
Yeah, it is a different ballgame altogether because you have social implications to any of these solutions that are being implemented. And it's not easy to, one, predict and manage the social implications. So you can understand why it's been difficult to implement in the past. But this is something that just has not been done before for a very long time in Zimbabwe. So we have to applaud the authorities for actually following through on one of the many tenets of the things that need to be done in order to address the issues. It is a process, and I think everyone wishes that this could go faster. But as you said, it's been a challenge, and we hope that that speed, we wish them Godspeed. To say the least.
Yeah, and of course on the other side of things, of course, we've got this issue around the dollar shortage, which has left many businesses struggling in Zimbabwe. What is causing that?
Well, Zimbabwe is in an interesting scenario. If you look at the FX inflows from our exports, Zimbabwe, I think up to October, it exported about $5 billion worth of product. Now, Kenya, which is 3 times our population, exported less than that in the same time. So maybe the issue is not necessarily the money coming in, but how we spend that money, the allocation of those funds, the fiscal imbalances that we were talking about, the expenditure in terms of the government expenditure towards recurring expenditure. I think so. Those are the issues that we really have to address. What is it that we're spending that amount on? For example, fuel at the moment, I think we're spending between $20 and $25 million a week in foreign currency, and that's leading to some foreign currency shortages. And there's an implicit subsidy on that fuel because if we look at the parallel market rate, we're probably paying about 40 cents per litre, and yet it probably lands in the country at 60 cents a litre. So that's implicit subsidy, has to, it's coming from somewhere. And these are some of the issues that have to be addressed.
And then on the other side, when it comes to these youth, that about 3,000 of them, 3,365 that are said to be laid off from the youth ministry, is there a contingency plan of where to place these young people, or are we seeing a situation where we've got young people in Zimbabwe which could be without jobs and therefore maybe without having a plan for the potential future?
Well, as you said, one of the issues that we have to address on the macro scale is to reduce government spending. And by reducing government spending, you ensure that more money is pivoted towards the private sector, which can then lend and start businesses and start regenerating again in the productive sectors. And those productive sectors are in tourism, manufacturing, agriculture, amongst others. So what we're hoping for here in the long run is that money is, just to give you an example, if we're looking at 3,000 people you're saving about $18 million a year in terms of cost to government per person on all those people. So that money is now freed up to go in productive sectors, and hopefully they'll be able to find jobs. But there is a lag. There is a lag before that money gets to actually hit the bottom line and is redirected towards the good sectors.
So we're going to leave our conversation there, but thanks a lot for joining us this evening, shedding some light in terms of those developments in Zimbabwe. About 3,000 young people finding themselves without a job, potentially. HFG Managing Director Zimbabawe, who joins us via Skype from London.